Now the Bakewell pudding and the Bakewell tart, and I'm not sure I can tell the difference, are legendary. They're known all over the world. Bakewell tart especially. Both of them contain basically the same ingredients: jam, cream, pastry, eggs, milk, etc. It's how they're put together that matters, and the legend is that the cook at the hotel, the Rutland Arms, back in the 1850s, got called out to do something and had her assistant finish off the pudding she was making. Unfortunately, the assistant, it said, didn't mix in the ingredients with the pastry, and therefore the thing came out the way it shouldn't. But the cook liked it so much that she said, never make it any other way again. So this is supposedly this Mrs. Anne Greaves in 1854, and it's legendary around town, theoretically, that that's where the Bakewell pudding originated. However, if you do research in the library, there are suggestions that this particular concoction turned up 20 years ago, made by somebody else. So it's one of those legends, like whether or not Jane Austen sat in the Rutland Arms and revised Pride and Prejudice. Whether it's true or not is actually unknown, but the legend is sort of important. Well, according to this, the wife of the town's candle maker saw a possibility of making this commercial, and did so. And this now, the official, quotes official Bakewell pudding place was the former cottage of that Mrs. Wilson, the wife of the candle maker. So you said you had a separate bakery where you make these things?
We do, yes, on the outskirts.
How long does it take? Just cook for half an hour or something like that?
Sammy knows more about it.
Have you made them yourself, or somebody else cooks them all the time?
Someone else cooks them for us.
Can anybody cook one?
They can do, yeah.
Fairly simple.
Yeah.
You can cook it, but we've had one baker making it for 12 years. And
Say that again?
we've had one baker making, no, we're not even 12, it's probably about 20 years it's been the same baker making them.
Oh, okay.
And even when our professional bakers try and make them, you can always tell when he's not on because they never look as good.
Right, thanks. So that's the basis for it being the original shop with the original pudding. It was Mrs. Wilson's cottage in the 19th century. And Mrs. Wilson was the first person to see the commercial potential of the Bakewell pudding being sold instead of just made for guests of the hotel.
Let's just go to that pub, see what their menu's like.
Oh, so that's what the menu is?
Yeah. Did you want to come back later?
Well, yes. I'm not particularly.
There's still time to come here for the Bakewell show, but you have to rush next week for the Bakewell Baking Festival. So this place invites you to eat in the 17th century tea room, so unless they're exaggerating, this building here is the 1600s. Well, that's not impossible. Here's another little place trying to cash in on the Bakewell pudding, claiming it's the first. Lots of places sell it, and a lot of people will mail it for you. And then we have this place, and the lady up there is supposed to be Mrs. Anne Greaves, alleged inventor of the whole thing. Blooming Great Tea Party, Brownsley Village Hall, tea and cakes, silent auction.
Okay, thank you.
I'm waiting in the fish and chip shop for my place and chip. I'm sitting looking out of the window, the bedroom window of my little cottage in Bakewell in Derbyshire, one of England's prettiest counties in the north. And I've been staying in this cottage for a couple of weeks to kind of study the local life and read and relax and read all the daily papers and stuff like that. And Bakewell is such a pretty little town. It's a market town, population of about 8,000, and some of its buildings go back like literally centuries and centuries. I mean, if there's a tea rooms, Georgian tea rooms, it's like 16th century, and a lot of the buildings are 200 or 300 years old. It's small, not overbuilt, kind of a bit crowded, cute little alleyways with open air sidewalk cafes, and it's I would strongly advise it as a place to come and visit, because so many Americans stay in the south and rarely visit the north of England, which in my view is much, much more interesting. Anyway, this is looking over Bakewell. You can't see the town itself, it's down there in the hollow. I'm up on the hill. What you can see over there are the white roofs of the agricultural centre, and every Monday farmers from miles around bring in the cows and the sheep and they auction them off, and they're all kept in pens at the back of the centre, mooing and mustling and you know, just making a general agricultural animal type noise. And as I say, I've been here 2 weeks. I paid £300 a week, which is $60-something a night, but you can get cheaper places. But this place is really fully equipped with, you know, a washing machine and a fireplace, and cooking facilities, and 2 bedrooms upstairs, and it's been very comfortable actually, and television and stuff, which I never watch. And the mayor, I met the mayor, we had a drink downtown, and he and his wife came up last night, and we all sat around and talked about everything under the sun. And I've got a lot of material. I'm going to write about Carver. I'm going to write about Bakewell itself. But I also have been reading all the serious papers every day. I'm going to do a summary of England right now, as shown to me by the serious daily papers. They're really into flowers. These are the flowers just outside my front door. But all the cottages have tiny little gardens at the front, about half the size of your bathroom, and they're all filled with flowers, and then they all have a little hidden garden at the back, which they use to sit and have the tea in and talk, entertain their guests. How do you make a Bakewell pudding? It says on the back of the bus there. Well, we know that now, don't we?
Should be around about something. The entrance, otherwise you could have just dropped us. Here's the car park.
This is the entrance, and we'll go through there and take a look at the hall from a distance. It's quite a long walk to it, the approach, which I will not take. However, there is the hall. I was there in the past. I think some of Jane Austen was filmed there, or maybe Jane Eyre, but certainly Pride and Prejudice was filmed there. I think the one with Keira Knightley. It's fabulous inside with all the usual hall bits of Tudor life, but just from the outside you can see it's quite impressive. Hello, cows. Entering the little village of Baslow. Going going to the Wheat Sheaf Hotel for a drink. Yet another Peacock pub. Popular name for pubs, the Peacock. Entering Sheffield. Well, I came here once before. This is a shop owned by a vague relative of my cousin's. It's a candy store.
The room truffle.
Your family.
Yeah, support your family.
Yeah.
I come to get my chocolate this weekend, and I just don't know about the weather.
Yeah, it's dry, isn't it? Well, we had 2 weekends, didn't we, recently? In
Gorgeous.
Spain,
Yeah,
weren't we?
yeah, and
Good
last time
time.
was so. And
Here I am, folks.
I'm there.
He's doing filming.
So that put a bit of a down on it, and it sort of made me a bit funny about flying. Yeah, so I'm really nervous about flying. I can't have it happen again. Well, if it will.
The shop is called Coco. Chocolate lock-ins. Sneak into Coco on a Friday or Saturday night for a true midnight feast. You and your chums can spend the morning devouring a selection of cocoa treats. That's okay.
All you young folk cope, you know. I really don't. Anyway, she'll be up again in July, I think.
Oh, that's not too long.
Yeah,
is
it's
it?
not-
So that's
yeah.
only a couple of weeks, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. Isn't it?
Sally says you get a lot of children in here, understandably.
Yeah, lots of children, especially on a Friday after school.
Oh, right.
They'll come for the treats.
Do gilts display a certain amount? Do adults display a certain amount of guilt about loving chocolate so much?
No.
They're all just
No,
happily
we don't
coming
allow
here
that
and-
in this shop.
they come in here and gorge themselves.
Yeah, you're allowed to in here.
What is your best-selling item?
Probably the loose chocolates that we sell in the cabinet.
I'm sorry?
The loose chocolates, the truffles that
Oh.
are individually handmade
Right.
in Bakewell in Castleton.
You make a large percentage of the stuff here yourself.
No, not yet, but
No.
that's what we're hoping to do soon. We've just bought a tempering machine, so we're going to start experimenting with
Yeah.
making chocolates.
Okay, good.
One day, maybe next time you come.
Like Vietnam, I mean, it wouldn't be what's native to
Yeah.
there, would it?
No.
When you see chocolate in other countries, I mean, are there any weird ingredients that strike you as very strange?
Oh, I don't know actually.
So it's all pretty much the same chocolate all over the world with
Yeah,
slight
the
variation.
thing that's interesting it is it's quite similar to wine in that where the plant grows, the soil and its surroundings affect the flavour. So different regions produce different.
Have you ever met anybody who didn't like chocolate?
Yeah, a lot of people come in the shop and kind of announce it like I should. I don't know, like they should tell me. And it's like, I don't want to know if you don't like chocolate, but I always say, you probably haven't found the right one yet. Because there's quite a lot, isn't there?
They say they dislike
Pull
it.
it all out.
They say they dislike it, but they end up buying it anyway.
Yeah, true.
The walls are covered in posters and ads for various kinds of chocolate.
So they kind of have. Can you just show me?
It's going to make a difference now.
This is a chocolate boutique. It's like a microbrewery for chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not fair.
Yeah,
They
look more like a gift
look
bag.
more like I'll have 100 grams of midget gems as well then in there, please.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
Right, come and get.
Off the supermarket.
Oh.
I was on the shop and walking back. I hope so. Probably not, but.
Favourite things?
Yeah, just not anything in
Okay.
the world. This has got to be our favourite, the grenaded chocolate.
That is the grenadine chocolate. Okay.
This is from the Caribbean. This is who we went to visit a few years ago. We liked
Right.
it that much. It's meant to be the most politically correct chocolate in the
Right.
world. Because it's
Okay.
made in a solar-powered chocolate factory. The company's cooperative with all the workers and the farmers, and it's organic as well. And it tastes really good.
Right.
What else is there? This is
Vietnamese.
yes,
Okay.
this is the first Asian chocolate that we've ever seen, and it's really special. All these are from different regions in Vietnam,
Oh,
so they
right.
all have slightly different flavours. So this one tastes really treacly, that's really fruity, that one's coconutty, and I need to try that one.
Okay.
From here as well.
Chocolate nipples of Venus.
These ones.
Okay, great.
Were these Mozart's favourite or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Castleton in the Peak District.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're all
where I've
handmade.
just come from, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on
Okay.
on a mountain called Mum Tor.
Right. Okay. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
That's great.
You have to try one. That's fine. That's these. Thank you. Thanks for waiting. That's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye. People like a bit of excitement with cameras.
Well, yeah. Kate, do you? I noticed in the back there you've
Yeah.
got a one chocolate box.
Oh yeah.
Do you have? Could you?
And so we leave Coco, the enchanted chocolate wonderland, it says. There's 2 coffee shops over there, as well as a pizza joint. There's tons of places to eat around here. It's not too far from Sheffield University, so get a lot of students. I like English gardens, they're really nice. Next to a school, no parking, no waiting, no excuses. Take that, parents. A month of Sundays, that shop is called. There's lots of tiny little shops here. Sally says it's become a very trendy shopping area, this whole region around here. And there are lots of cafes and flower shops and so on and so on. Look at that row of houses stretching up into infinity. Around this area is where my childhood was spent. It's changed a bit, but the buildings haven't. I know Father's Day is just about due. May even be this weekend. Oh, this is the beginning of the park I used to spend my childhood. Is it Eccleston Park? Encliffe Park? Encliffe Park, okay. We're about to just take a look at it. That's the name, Encliffe Park. So at the entrance of the park there is a statue of Queen Victoria. We were going to walk further into the park, but my leg is still acting up a bit, and I can't walk too far without it bringing on the pain again. So, but this park, Encliffe Park, is where I spent a lot of my childhood 70 years ago, and I very much doubt if the park itself has changed very much, although I don't remember much of my childhood. As far as I'm concerned, my life began when I got to New York in my early 20s.
Oh,
park. Keep away.
Yeah, the park's always been its pride and joy.
Yeah. You're not recording me, are you?
Yeah, it's alright, but it doesn't matter. It's just background, you know.
Yeah, alright, I'll talk to you in a minute.
Okay. Dogs are so cute. And as always in England, it came on to rain suddenly, and I mean suddenly. We're sitting there, and in the short walk back to the car, we get thoroughly soaked. There's no warning about rain in England, and I remember in the past on so many occasions when it looks so sunny and you go out, and like within minutes it's pouring with rain. There's no indication it's coming sometimes.
It was a cinema.
More like a castle than a supermarket.
Yeah.
Potato oven, the filling's up to you. One of the reasons why we've got caught in the rain was we delayed trying to find a foldable walking stick that I can take back with me on the plane, because it's still hard to walk around. I mean, it's amazing. You can just fall on your side and weeks later you still can barely walk without help, because it just seemed like such a simple thing, you know. And I know when you get older you got to be careful about falling down, and I really am careful, but I overlooked the grease on the cobble sidewalk and bang, that was it. Basically knocked out for weeks. I was fortunate enough to A, have done most of the videotape and the research before I got hurt, and B, being brought to Sheffield by my cousin and being able to live upstairs in her house and just really work on well, basically my columns in great comfort with room service, her bringing me chocolate and coffees and so on. So I've done a lot of work, and tomorrow I catch an Air New Zealand plane and head back to Los Angeles. Lots of tree-lined streets. And this little cul-de-sac is where Sally lives.